Profanity Nation.
Yeah, it's the new era of man for some old school fans with a new school brand. We got money on the mic with the plan in hand. And Stat Pat to his left, they go hand in hand. And to the right, we got Simpster, he putting it down. It's the Profanity Nation, we running the town. Yeah,
It's the Profanity Nation.
Profanity Nation.
Welcome to the Profanity Nation podcast, where we are the voice of the professional fan. We are here every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host, the man, the guys, Money Mike. How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right today, man. You know, we're going to talk about the usual. And, we got some good news about Westbrook today.
What'd you call him?
I'm going to call him Westbrook because that dude be out for people's heads.
Because he cares. All right.
Right.
Yeah. Stat Pat.
Feeling good, man. Lakers won a game, so you know
they also
that's what we
that's where we're
reduced
at, man.
ourselves to.
Just win the game. It makes me happy.
That's awesome.
That's where I'm at right now.
That is awesome.
So the happiness should be over there because they lost.
They already lost.
Yeah.
No, you take the little victories.
Oh, okay,
my
cool.
friend.
I'm saying we won a game. I didn't say we won today.
Okay. All right, cool.
This week is great. We won a game. That's
Right.
what it's been reduced to. Well, of course, if you watch the show, which we know you do, or listen to the show, we, of course, are Lakers centric here. We're all about Lakers. We're all about NBA. We're all about everything here, Los Angeles. We are located in the Infinity Studios now in Monterey Park, California. Beautiful location. Thank you very much. As usual, we are joined here by our resident athletic professional. Let's go ahead and bring him on, Mr. Marco Nunez. How you doing, Marco?
Doing well. How are you guys doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
absolutely.
got you 100%.
Okay, for some reason I can't see you guys.
You can't
You
see
can't
us.
see us.
Okay, but you can hear us.
I can definitely hear you guys.
Okay, great. Okay, no problem. So, Money Mike, you've got the mic.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't want to talk about the usual. But, you know, I had a question about I was watching a Murray State San Francisco game. And I think it was Justice Hill. He kept cramping up. And they were they was talking about it was over in his calf, and he would like go run, get a layup, fall on the ground, and kind of like cramp up, couldn't get it back up. And then you know, it kind of happened on and off during the game. Then it seemed like the cramp kind of moved up to his thigh area, where literally like when it was a good game, it went to overtime. And they had a massager on one leg, and the players were massaging him on the other leg. You know, and I got to thinking, because usually I think it cramps. Isn't that like when you're kind of dehydrated, or you know what I mean? Like you don't have enough fluid and things like that. Like, can't Gatorade fix that, you know, that cramping?
So is today's program sponsored by Gatorade, or what are you talking about?
No.
Body armor.
Or Powerade or whatever.
Sponsorship
Or
available.
water. Yeah.
Please give us a call.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, how do you like cramp up? I mean, isn't cramp like just a lack of fluid in that area or something?
So you usually when you cramp up is a imbalance of either electrolytes, water, sodium, potassium, or anything of that sort. So it's trying to determine what imbalance you have in your body, and then try to kind of replenish it, to try to kind of reduce it. Oftentimes, it's either lack of electrolytes in your body. So that's why, like you mentioned, the big thing with Gatorade is that they've always promoted that their drink not only has water, of course, but it also has electrolytes to help you reduce your cramping. There's other issues, there are other measures that you can take out there. Pickle juice has high amounts of salt, or like electrolytes is just another form of salt. I'm sorry. So electrolytes is just a form of salt. So a lot of times the quick issue to it is to try to kind of replenish that salt that you lost. That's what a lot of athletes have always been recommended, that during pregame, you maybe add a little bit more salt to your meal to try to make sure you kind of contain that. Obviously, for the average adult, if you do have high blood pressure, that's not kind of recommended. So you kind of have to see what's going on in the part. But yes, at the end of the day, the cramping is oftentimes result to an imbalance of either electrolytes, which is salt, sodium, which is salt, potassium, or any other element in your body.
Yeah. So couldn't they like give them that, like have them drink more, or you know what I mean? Like to kind of, is there like, if I drink a gallon of Gatorade because I'm cramping out, that's not going to help me? Like, what's the turnaround time for that?
Well, no, it can, but here's the thing about it, is that it also depends on your environment. It depends on the weather, depends on the temperature, depends on the altitude, depends on how much you've been traveling, lack of sleep, and all this other stuff. So there's all these other elements involved in it. I'll give you a prime example. I don't know if I have a lot of this time, but when I was with the Lakers, we had a player that constantly, when we should travel and we should get to the next city and we should land about 1 o'clock, 2 in the morning, he would constantly come and ask me, "Hey, Marco, I need something. I have a migraine. I have a migraine. I have a migraine." And it was just like on the tee every day, every time we would travel. We landed in the city at 2 o'clock in the morning. He had a migraine. He would call me. So when we got back, I sat down with our team docs. Hey, what's going on? This guy has a constant migraine. We checked out his blood work. There's a little bit imbalance. And nowadays there is this thing called a sweat analysis where they'll take your levels of sweat, take it to the lab and analyze it and see how much sweat and how much electrolytes are you burning or wasting, how much sodium are you wasting and all that sort. And then once we created that, well, once we discovered what's going on with him, bottom line, what happened to him is that he was actually going in a dehydrated stage, even going into practice. So even before he got on the court, he was already dehydrated. So then we created a customized program, a hydration program for him that replenished what he was losing or what he couldn't get from somewhere else. To say the least, after we implement that program, he never, well, actually, I don't want to say he never called me at 2 o'clock in the morning for a migraine headache. I think that was due to some other form of liquid. But after that, it pretty much kind of resolved itself and it was never become an issue. So that's some of the things we refer to as sports science that we do nowadays.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
You know, with that though, you know, Mike, you were about to touch on a point. I think that it would seem then that since it's an electrolytes, it's a balance with hydration, that these teams would have it locked in. That this would, I mean, how do players get advanced? Like, is there any excuse for any NBA player to cramp? Therefore, because it would seem like they've got plenty of hydration, plenty of specialists, plenty of people. So what are we to think that they just didn't do what they were supposed to do that night? What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing about it. Okay, they're adults. Some of them are, you know, maybe teenagers or whatnot, and then when they may go out at night, they may go out the night before, type of thing. Yes, as the sports medicine staff, we try to provide them the best resources. Like I said, after we did that with the player, we could whole customized hydration program for all the athletes. They arrived to the arena. There was a bottle of water for them to go ahead and drink with the specific electrolytes, potassium in there. When they left the arena, they have another bottle to go ahead and drink. The question is, once they left the arena, did they drink it? When we went to the hotel, I would make sure that every player had a good amount of waters and electrolytes or Gatorade drinks in their hotel. That's one of my things that we're supposed to do. Now the question, did they drink it? That we don't know. I mean, was I supposed to go from every room and kind of make sure, hey, did you drink your water? Did you drink your water? That ultimately it's up to the athlete at that point. But like I said, there's different variables type of thing, lack of sleep. Maybe they didn't sleep well the night before. Maybe they left the heater on and all of a sudden they were sweating in the middle of the night and they wake up, you know, kind of in sweats type of thing. So now they've lost sweat, they've lost electrolytes. They have to kind of, you know, rehydrate it. They don't tell us that. We don't know and we can't anticipate. So there's a lot of other little elements that are involved in it. But at the end of the day, yes, you're right. A lot of these D1 programs nowadays do have dietitians on staff that's their jobs to make sure that they stay hydrated as much as possible.
Excellent.
Cool.
Very good. Y'all good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. No personal injuries, I think, this week
No,
to discuss.
You know, but you know what? I do have
Get
another
back.
question, man. This morning I was watching the marathon. And you know, they were saying something kind of interesting. I said, hey, I gotta ask Marco about this. They were saying, and I'm kind of, you're gonna probably have to pull it out, you know, what they were saying, but they were saying right around 17, 18 miles, you know, in the marathon's 26 miles, they said that all of the energy has already been burned out of a marathon runner, and then it starts going into like a secondary energy that they have to pull out for the rest of the race. You know, they said nobody's able to go, no matter what type of preparation they do, they're able to use the carbohydrates to be able to run 26 miles. They said it's just literally is abuse in the body, and the body automatically starts using their reserve when you continue to run. Can you go more in depth with that? Like, because I saw the young lady, I can't forgive me, I don't know her name, but I saw her like go in her shirt, take a little bite or something and put it back down, you know. So can you tell me more about that at all? You know what I mean?
To kind of break down, your body uses three forms of energy source, right? Your carbohydrates, which is that's the number one source. Carbohydrates comes from like anything that's like pasta, rice, bread, anything like that sort. Your body prefers it. It wants to use it as energy. If you go to the gym and you start lifting heavy weights, if you sprint, you're running away from line or anything of that sort, you're using carbohydrates as your main source. That's what your body likes. That's what you tend to use. The second one is your fats. You have your fats, and then also you have your protein levels. Once your body runs out of carbs, then it starts using your fats as resource. Once it runs out of fats resource, then it ultimately uses protein levels, and protein is what's made up of your muscle mass. That's why when you kind of go lift weights, you want to replenish that protein to try to make sure your body kind of builds it up and gets those strong muscles as you're lifting up. So bottom line, as you're running for that long period of time, your body's going from one side to the other side to the other side. And the one thing about these runners, and not only just the runners, but if you ever watch the Olympics, the Tour de France, you see these guys on the bike, and then you see like their team, like a car all of a sudden pulls up to them and it gives them some like liquid. And that bottle of liquid is not just water. In that liquid, in that water bottle, it has carbohydrates, it has electrolytes, it has some kind of protein level, it has something for them to be able to consume and be able to kind of reuse that energy. So it's almost like you have your car, right? You pull up gas, you put gas in it, and you're driving from one place to the next place. If you're driving to Vegas and you run out of gas halfway, so what's going to happen in your car? You're just going to pretty much stay stuck in the desert. Your job is to get to the next gas station, fill up with gas, and then keep going on the road. That is what your body utilizes as carbohydrates. You have to replenish. So the young lady that you mentioned, that she kind of pulled something out of her pocket and was kind of munching on it, is basically try to replenish that energy so she can kind of keep going. Because at that point, your body's just struggling to try to get you through there, and you got to be able to replenish as much as you can as quickly as possible.
Oh.
Very cool.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. They were like, "Hey, your belly basically shuts down at 18 miles. Oh, shoot, we got 8 more to go. What are we gonna do?"
It's like the
Yeah.
most
I
unhealthy.
guess it explains like the story behind the Battle of Marathon. So I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the guy pretty much died at the end of running that whole 26 miles. So ever since then, bodies have been training to run that same length of distance. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that your body will just be on reserve, on fumes, if you don't have anything to replenish it.
Correct.
So one more question to that. So do the night before, do you just go and just get the biggest pasta plate you could get? You know what I mean? Like,
Maybe so maybe not necessarily the night before, but yes, you're right. That's referred to as carb loading. Like the night before, 2 nights before, you have these athletes go out there and eat as much pasta, as much as rice, as much bread to try to get that what's referred to carb loading. Basically, it's almost like let's say when you go to the gas station and you put the gas in there and it clicks, but you're like, no, I'm not done. I'm gonna hold it again and maybe click it a second time or a third time, and you're trying to get as much as you can in there. That's what what athletes try to do the night before or 2 nights before they do carb loading. Get as much of those energies into their body as much as possible. Have it stored there, ready to go. So when they do compete, they have the energy, they have the gas to be able to go.
Does beer count as carb loading?
Well, so here's the word. Not necessarily. If you use the word fear, I would probably use the word adrenaline. That usually kicks in. There's always this thing about everybody gets a second wind, or adrenaline kicks in, and somehow you find an energy from somewhere else, and that kicks you into gear. And then maybe from the 18 mile to the 26 mile, you're running pretty much on adrenaline.
I meant beer.
Oh, that one.
Beer as a carb.
That's a carb. That's the carb. Now, the only problem with that is that the hard part is going to probably be running in a straight line. You might be running a little bit of
right.
Really quick before we let you go, Marco, we've been discussing this show that's been out by HBO called Winning Time.
Right.
And I'm just curious, have you been watching that at all?
I have not had a chance to watch it. I actually was talking to somebody about it because I think from what I heard, there was rumors about that show was coming out, and I think my understanding there was another show that was supposed to be coming out around the same time, or they were filming around the same time. And I think from my understanding, one of the shows was someone kind of approved by the Lakers, and the other show was not approved or something of that sort. No, but I'm actually interested in watching it. I've heard some interesting things about the one that's out right now.
Excellent. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. I guess it's the 3rd episode that came out.
Episode.
We haven't had a chance to watch it because we're working, but we're still going to talk about it. Marco, thank you so much. Can you please let everybody know who's watching and listening how they can keep up with what you've got going on, please?
Sure. If you guys have any questions regarding injuries, issues, performance, or anything in general regarding to sports medicine, please feel free to DM me on my Instagram at Marco A. Nunez 17, or subscribe to my YouTube channel at Evolve Athletic Performance.
All right. Thank you so much, Marco. We appreciate
you, Marco.
it.
Thank you, Marco.
Thanks a
lot.
lot. Thanks a lot, man.
Oh, you did great for not being able to see us.
Yeah.
So that proves all you got to do is hear us. So go ahead and head to iHeartRadio, Spotify, and be sure to subscribe to the Profanity Nation podcast, because
Right.
hearing it is good, seeing it is better. Okay, guys, let's get going to the topics of the day. Okay, so let's get started first. We know we've got winning time. We've talked about that a little bit, but let's first, I'd like to say that for me, I actually have finally seen a little bit of fire. I'm not saying we turned the corner, but I saw just a little bit of fire, a
Where?
little bit of anger in LeBron, a little bit of angst in these players. Finally, what are you guys seeing, Stat?
Nothing. Go ahead, Stat.
No, I actually do see what you're talking about.
Right.
Like it's gotten to the point where, I mean, it might be a little bit, a little too late. But at the same time, you're kind of like figuring like, okay, we better step it up right now, because we're gonna. Yeah, I think you're right. They have 41 losses now, I think, and that's basically they're one game away from having a losing official losing record.
Yeah,
for
under
this season.
500.
Under
exactly.
500, and I mean, I know it might be an inevitability, but I think they're gonna try to fight hard not to be below 500 for the season. So.
Money
I do
Mike.
see the fire.
I have listen. Is the question, are they going to be below 500?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I think they're just going to prolong it.
Yes, they're going to be below 500. Like if anybody is wondering, they're going to be below 500. I'll give you my guarantees. LeBron is going to continue to stat pad and just only be worried and concerned about himself. I literally saw this dude go, and he was the closest one to the rebound, right? And he didn't get the rebound, and he's yelling at the people that are behind him on why they didn't get the rebound. And the highlight is LeBron's yelling at his teammates about not getting the rebound, but he was the closest one to the ball. So I'm just so disgusted by the whole narrative with this guy right now. Like, okay, cool, he passed Karl Malone. He's number 2 on the list. I'm surprised that he did not sit out the Washington game so he could break the record in Cleveland, because that would have been a better story, and I feel that's what he's more about.
Right now, the stories that he's more about himself versus the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just sometimes when I hear the media get on LeBron for either not being assertive or being a leader, if he does anything that's, say, a little aggressive, then he gets, chastised for being too aggressive, like yelling at his teammates. Whereas the same people that were saying, why are you yelling at these people, are the ones that are saying, you need to be more of a leader for those players. And I don't know how he's going to juggle all that.
Wait a minute.
No, it's the truth, man.
But that's not what I'm saying.
But no, I mean, that is where we're at when it comes to the narrative you're talking about. If people are, I know what you're saying, that he's literally blaming other people for his stuff. But I'm saying that we all need to be accountable. So you need to hold people accountable, and he has to.
I disagree with you. I think he was the only one going. If someone had helped box out, maybe he would have had a chance at that. He was the only player in there, but there were players around the peripheral that weren't even going in. 99% of the time, that's him. He stands around the outside and just watches. But on this one particular play, he actually was in the play. He was actually fighting for it. So finally, he understands what it's like to be his teammate. And you know what? They're seeing it though. And you were right the whole time. I'm going to give you kudos. You were right the whole time, because it starts with the leader, and he puts that fire out there and starts saying, where are you guys? Damn it. Hold you guys accountable. And all of a sudden there's a little bit of fire. All of a sudden Westbrook's playing a little bit, I think that you can definitely put some heat on LeBron for his leadership of this team. And especially when it came to Westbrook, I don't know that he came to his defense.
Well, I mean,
if anything, all the talk was he wanted to trade him for Wall.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, he also didn't say anything in the media like against Westbrook.
No.
We heard the passive aggressiveness.
No,
but,
silence is saying something.
But we never heard or never seen on the court, when we know that Westbrook is messing up on the court, seeing LeBron take him to the side. And at least you might not have to yell at him. Of course, it was Westbrook. Nobody's going to step to Westbrook like that. But you can talk to them, put your arm around them. Let them know we need you, man. We need. I know you need them. I know you are a former MVP like me. I need you to get it.
I'd come out in the press conferences and say, "Hey, we want him to keep shooting. We want him to keep shooting. We want him to keep shooting. Go ahead, money."
Okay, can we do this at game 20 instead of game 7?
No,
You're absolutely right.
I'm just
It's
100%.
way too
what,
like,
what are we doing? Like we
100%.
we literally are talking about things about holding people accountable. And game like 73, 74,
Right.
like where we only got like 10 games left.
Right.
Like all these things, all this energy that we got, these yelling at the players, that should have happened around, game 20,
Christmas,
21,
at least Christmas,
25. You know what I mean? Like when
should have came after we lost to the Clippers instead of saying how that coach has no weaknesses.
right.
Yeah.
I mean that's my
Still
only
saying
issue.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I mean, that's my only issue, man. Like, what we're seeing right now when it's almost too late and we are in 10th place, like literally like in 10th place.
Bad.
We ain't won. We're not going to win a back-to-back game at all. So, like, what are we doing? Why are we even? It just kills me because the season's over.
Well,
Like we literally went through. Hey, maybe the first 20 games, then the first 30 games. Okay, by All-Star break,
actually,
the first
started
50.
preseason.
It
did start
the
in
first
by
50.
preseason.
It started in the preseason, man.
And we have all these thresholds, and we just blew blast all the thresholds, and now we're like, oh my God, I see a fire in
the
game
play-in.
72. Like, why?
It's okay to comment that we see it just because it's late. It is late, and like I said, you were right that his leadership is what should have triggered this earlier. And there's questions there. Was he focused? Was he not focused? Was he busy with the shop or whatever his shows are, and he's more concentrating on that. I think it would have been nice to hold some players accountable, but I think it also would have been nice in the same manner to have supported, Westbrook. And I'm sure he did privately, but you do that, publicly.
Yeah.
But either way, they are showing a little bit of fire. They're showing a little bit of play, and it's funner to watch at least, right?
Yeah. Back to what you were saying about like, accountability and just thinking about like the Shaq and Kobe days, not saying that's Shaq, but when Phil Jackson had the team, and of course we're not going to compare Vogel with Phil, but when Phil used to play, they call it his mind games. He used to always try to get these guys motivated in different ways. I haven't seen Vogel do that all year, and I don't know if he even have the backing from the team, the organization, from the players to be able to call out people when they're knowing that, because I mean his rotations are trash. That's been highlighted on the show many times. But when it comes to just, pulling some people out, what Phil Jackson used to do, he just basically called the role players out. He never called out like, the Kobe's and Shaq and say that, like he just called out like Oreo.
But there was always a sacrificial.
Yeah, somebody was sacrificial lamb. Like somebody got, was catching the bullets. And so, there was no B+ player on this team, a B player on this team that he could shift and pivot to talk about. And that's where, when we're talking about leadership, when we're talking about accountability, yes, LeBron James is the man and he's supposed to get a lot of the, the blame. However, when it comes to the coach got to also do that as well.
That's when I guess it comes down to the respect of the coach, right?
Yeah.
And that's why these player coaches are the new trend,
right?
The new everything. It's the player coach. It's a player coach because they can relate, I guess, a little bit better, right?
Right.
Or at least the players expect that way. The losers.
Yeah, because you've done it. Like it's like the Larry Franks, the Jeff Van Gundy's, the Spoelstras, those are gonna be now harder to get those head coaching jobs the way they did before, because like you said before, those players want to see an ex-player, somebody they can know that understands the 82 game grind, understands what it takes to win in the playoffs,
100%.
That kind of stuff. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look.
It just is what it is.
LeBron sucks. I know you're going to go back. LeBron sucks.
Go
back to LeBron sucking.
Here's the thing though. Like my biggest thing is the culture. Like the whole culture of what the Lakers were is just not there anymore. The standards, the how we move, how we keep everything in the inside. It's just none of that is there.
That was there though in 2020, and so that's we can't because I just wanted that to be also said
Chemistry wise,
I want to say that the culture, the chemistry, everything that we're saying that we were lacking now, that was everyone was from top down. Everybody was proud to be Lakers. Every fan base was energized. LeBron was being an ambassador for the Lakers and also for the game of basketball at that time during, of course, following Kobe's death, and then also the pandemic and then the bubble later on. So when we're talking about the culture, 2020, I think we did. I think from that point on now, something is just all out of whack. And I don't know if it's the chemistry, if it's the people, if it's the lack of AD being on the court and not having any influence, because how can you have that much influence when you're not playing the whole season? And then if you look at your third guy, the one that's supposed to be taking a burden, he's not picking up the slack like he's supposed to do. So it's like the culture is like, well, it starts from the top. These guys at the top are either unavailable, or not into it, or not playing up to their capabilities. What are the rest of the team going to do? I mean, Malik Monk can only do so much. He can't carry the team with a team with LeBron, AD, and
well, it turns into I'm just gonna do for me, and I'm gonna show off, and I'm gonna work for my next job. Is what it turns out to be.
It's an audition.
It's an audition. But that's what the Lakers have been, and that's the Rob Pelinka style of signing 1 or 2 years. You're just auditioning for other teams.
Yeah, you're basically basically putting mercs.
Is that? But I mean,
and that's no way to build. There's no way to build. Chemistry, camaraderie. Now, you brought up a point for 2020, and I'll tout it. You can go back and you can review the tapes. Oh, it was tougher in the bubble. It was tougher in the bubble. Yeah, certain things were tougher, but I don't know. Would this have shown up quicker? Would the scrutiny have shown up different if they were traveling, if they were going from city to city? Would the chemistry been as tight if they weren't locked in a bubble? I mean, everything since then has pretty much fallen to pieces. Was that the only thing kind of keeping it together? Unfortunately, the doubters now have plenty of ammunition forever, and there's really not much we can do about it. I mean, but they definitely have ammunition.
The Mickey Mouse ring, the A Disney. You hear all the different things that they're saying about the Lakers just to discredit and to basically, to
take away
the ring. However, at the end of the day, like I said on this show before, no one's taking the 99 championship away from the San Antonio Spurs. No one's saying anything about it. We said it before, us Laker fans are being salty. We always claimed it was an asterisk championship. However, no one gave a damn, and they still don't give a damn. And they still saying Duncan got 5 rings, and they still putting him in the conversation who's better between him and Kobe because he got those 5 rings. So yes, I'm gonna let this ride out. And we're gonna make sure, and it's that banner, when I take my kids there, they're still gonna be on the wall, and that ring is still gonna be, this is gonna count,
and it counts as number 7.
Okay, but here's the thing though, if we're gonna go and say, okay, we had chemistry, through 2020, well, we completely destroyed that like this year, right?
The next year,
next year after that,
when they broke up the team,
broke the team up,
right? So now, like, that chemistry becomes no longer whatever chemistry we had. And that's, again, was my argument, because I always said, like, why are we blowing up the team if the only reason why we didn't win or go back to back is because it is because of injuries. So why are we blowing up the team? Why because if that's the issue, let's run it back, maybe add 1, 2 pieces. Don't just get rid of everybody and have a whole
screams cockiness. That to me just absolutely screams cockiness on the Lakers front office. They thought, oh, now look at that. We're sorry for
we just need 2 people.
And everyone else is just plug and play. Look how easy this was for us. That is total overconfidence. They overplayed their hand. The problem is that they friggin' doubled down again the following year. And then added Russell Westbrook. That's where the problem comes in. Don't acknowledge your mistake.
The height of like you said, the arrogance. They're basically just like, okay, we're going to be able to create a championship team as long as we got LeBron and AD, it doesn't matter who's on the team, and I'm gonna show it to you. And I think if Pelinka hasn't learned this lesson, he probably gonna learn it when he's fired. But if you have a championship caliber team and you've already won the championship, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't run that thing back. There's no reason why you shouldn't do it. Because first of all, prove to yourself that team is not good enough. How do you know that team is not good enough unless you put that team back through the fire, to play in those series and lose? Then you tweak.
Isn't that basketball? You keep running the play that works
Yeah,
until they defend it and stop it.
You would think.
If they can't stop it, you keep running it.
You would think.
You said that from day one.
I said from day one. But let me ask you this, though. I mean, we talk about firing Pelinka. Who do we fire first, Pelinka or Vogel?
You fire Vogel first.
Okay.
You fire Vogel.
All right.
Why is he actually underachieving?
He's the easiest one to do.
But is he underachieving?
Vogel?
Is he actually, this is the hand he's dealt and he's doing what he can?
I would say this. So you see a team like, say, back in the day, we heard all of these defensive minded coaches, right? And one of the main ones in the modern times right now is Tom Thibodeau and how he's that defensive guru, right? He gets a team, they play
always
good defense, yes. Right? Doesn't matter who's on the team, good defense. Has no centers, still play good defense, still in the top 10 in the league of points, give it up. If he's able to do that and he's quote unquote a defensive coach, and Vogel at this time last year, going into the playoffs, Vogel was in that breath of defensive minded, kind of gurus. Everybody was trying to give it because his bubble team the defense was hot. He still had good defense, even when LeBron and AD missing work. They were still having the top 10 defense, right? Without AD, we had the stats to back it up. So if that's the case, then I'm not worried about this offense. I just need you to get that defense under control.
Exactly.
And if that's your specialty and the defense is trash, who else do I have? Do I have to blame the players or I have to blame your system? And that's what I'm saying. And then also when we're talking about who we fire first, think about Pelinka and his relationship with Jeannie and Rambuses. I would call him the Rambi. Because it's the Rambuses. And see how he's also a part of that. They allow him to do that because they control him. Another GM that's from another organization that doesn't, quote unquote, know the Laker way is not going to be able to mesh with that. Pelinka does mesh with that. And if he has a relationship with Clutch, then he stays Vogel out.
Money is let me ask you this. With the team playing so obviously bad, so underachieving this season, does it get to a point where the longer Vogel stays, the more maybe they are actually looking at Pelinka as the problem, as opposed to Vogel? Is there any sense of, well, why haven't they got? I mean, they could put anyone in that position, and we can play how we're playing. The team's playing themselves, or coaching themselves at this point. Is there any look through that, and if Vogel's staying, that's
I agree. I agree with Pat. I mean, Vogel is definitely going to be the sacrificial lamb out of all this, simply because everything's political, everything's politics, right? So and we're going to have to play the politics. So it's even even the way that LeBron is playing. We talked about it last week about like how he has 0 fouls, which tells me that he plays 0 defense, right? So they're going to say that's because Vogel wasn't out there calling defensive plays or something like that.
Putting them in position
to be successful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
Right. So yeah, Vogel is definitely the one that's going to be the sacrificial lamb.
But do you feel that that's justified and that's the attitude? Do you feel that's enough? If they put it, who else is out there? If they don't come in with a Phil Jackson or a lights out coach, if there's anyone questionable, is that enough?
It's not. I don't think it's. It definitely is an issue from top down. I kind of just want Clutch to leave. Mm-hmm. Like for real. I just kind of just want, because I feel like Clutch is controlling what's happening in the sense of what's in the best interest of the players that they
Represent.
They manage and represent. And as long as you have that under the umbrella, because they have AD, they have like LeBron, it's kind of
Taylor.
and they have Taylor.
I'm just saying they're all on that squad.
Right. Like it kind of makes it difficult because they literally are able to dictate really who is going to come, not what's best for the team, based on it's really going to be based on who they want to play with. And I think that the mentality needs to be who do we need for best for the team? We already have LeBron. We know LeBron is going to be a dominant ball handler. We do not need another dominant ball handler because we know LeBron is there. So, but hey, we like Westbrook. Let's go ahead and get Westbrook. Hey, we like this guy. Let's go get this. How do you put together the team where it actually you have players that are in a position where they are able to play their role? That's how that's look at the Bulls, right? They went and say, hey, do y'all want to go get Rodman? Yeah, we're gonna get Rodman because Rodman don't care about scoring
Or minutes.
or stuff like that. But hey, we know he can play defense. We know he gonna get rebounds, and that's what his role was. He went to Hall of Fame by doing that. I think that dude got like 9,000 points in his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But he focused and he had a skill set that allowed Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Steve Kerr, to be able to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find, and there are players in the league that we could get that could follow that same skill set, right? Like, but they don't put teams together like that. They just put teams together on this name brand player. We like them,
Mm-hmm.
and let's go ahead and put them on the team. And I just
forgive me, but didn't that just sound like all Pelinka criticism?
I would say in a way it was obviously since Pelinka is the GM, so it has to fall upon his feet if we're talking about personnel decisions. However, when we're talking about back to Vogel, when we're seeing how like all the players that are being picked, they aren't picked for his system. Or also another thing, if we can go ahead and look back at then Pelinka and then see like if you're creating this team, then why aren't there any kind of like interchangeable parts? Like you having too many redundant parts where you don't have any. If you're playing, why aren't we effective when we play small? Like we should have a small lineup. Why don't we, when we go big, why aren't we really smashing teams and destroying them when we go big, when we play big? See, we're all over the place and we have no philosophy and we don't know what we're doing out there. And that is like I can you know what I'm saying? I can, say a lot to Pelinka, but I'm looking at the product on the court and I don't see any rotations. Pelinka can't call and say make the rotations, like, or having these guys on the pick and roll. Why is it when the guy rolls and all he has to do with one pass and it throws to the corner is a wide open three? Like, why? I know that. I'm not an X and O guy. I know that the 3-pointer in the corner is usually always open. It's either that one or the elbow where they just swing it and something open. They knew if they get the Lakers moving, they're going to get an open shot. Just get the ball moving, get those guys out of spots, and they're going to get open shots. That's where I'm saying we're in, like Money was saying, we're at game 75, 73, whatever it is, and we still don't have
done.
And we don't have any damn rotations. I'm sorry, man.
Hey, Clip, I'll blink your mic if you have a comment.
I don't know. I mean, but we can all agree on there's blame to be given, and I think both of them should shoulder some of that responsibility.
Look, we can do this from top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay, let's go bottom to top. Okay, so the coach is responsible to put the players in the position to succeed. You're supposed to put them in what they do best and to build around that. Mike, you agree with that, right? You don't get a player out of position and say go do this. You put them in a position to succeed. Okay, you go up from that. The GM is supposed to put the coach in a position to succeed. He's supposed to give him the players. Pat, you hit it. That work within that coach's system. You don't put Phil Jackson in there and then get players that aren't going to work with the triangle. So you can sabotage and make someone look really bad and make a coach look really bad. Okay. So the GM's responsibility is to put that coach in position to succeed. Now, the only thing we know that is happening is Jeannie Buss, which is above that, is putting our GM in position to succeed because she's providing the money. That's what she's supposed to do. Provide the money, provide support. She's doing that. Somewhere along that line, it's breaking down. I question. I don't necessarily have faith in Vogel, to be honest with you, but I just don't believe that it will actually stop there. Pelinka is a first-time GM, and while everyone looked at his brilliance, like you said, for 2020, but in putting that squad together, but unfortunately, that is beginning to look like the exception.
Yeah,
not the rule.
But you know, see, that's all I'm gonna tell you right now. That's kind of always been very interesting to me because, you know, how can you be great, you know, and then all of a sudden be horrible? Like people used to go and bash Mitch Kupchak like all the time about how he did stuff, but that dude pulled off freaking Kwame Brown from Pau Gasol. So
yes, he did.
which is one of the best trades ever, you know,
like the biggest
10.
fleece.
Right, absolutely. So, and I've always said, like, how can you talk about Mitch Kupchak when he pulled that off? You know. So there always are other things, other parameters, and reasons.
Because his first signing was Luol Deng and Mozgov. That's why, because that undoes a lot.
I was gonna say that. I didn't want to say that. I wouldn't take your thunder, but
no, I got you.
He don't hit.
You know, that's how you
ruin a legacy.
Bingo.
You go ahead and you give all that money to, and not to mention what's insult to injury is the fact that we still paying this cat.
Yes,
like he's been gone, and we still pay Luol Deng. So it's like if there's like the gift that keeps on giving, it's literally Luol Deng's contract that's making a fool of us, laughing at it. Like, yeah, I know, but you're still the remnants of your last GM.
But look, I mean, listen, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, no problem.
It gets you kind of thinking though, like. Now I agree that was horrible. Why would we go and do that? Like all these other people were getting these players that we definitely could have used, and that was our blockbuster trade on the first day.
And Mozgov, though, that Mozgov right there, that's nasty. The money we would give him, like, oh my God, are you serious? He didn't do anything in Denver.
Yeah, so, but you know, again, it's like you just gotta. I really just want to know why. Like, why are we doing this? Who are we listening to? Getting back over to Pelinka, like, did Pelinka really think bringing Westbrook over, you know, was going to make a better situation? Like these are really like my questions because, like, if you guys go to the beginning of the season, none of us thought that was going to work, and we're just regular Joe Blow. Like we're not, you know, we look at the game, watch people play, you know. We don't even have the interaction that they have, but I could tell you it wasn't going to work from the beginning.
That's a great point. That would be an awesome Rob, if you're listening, which we know you are. We'd like you to reach out at the end of the season because we'd love to sit down and talk with you. As Stat said, we'd love to get the actual X's and O's as to what went into that decision because, as Money has stated, just about everyone else saw it as an obvious mistake. So, other than saying, you know, we want to know, was it just a gut feeling? Okay, then we can accept that that's what that was. But where was the data?
Right.
The X's and O's that back up that decision because there was really nobody out there that felt that was going to work.
Yeah, and blink your mic, Clubhouse, if you have a comment. But
please,
go ahead, Jeremy.
Hey, Profanity Nation, how's it going? So on the topic that we're talking about, PCs. I would definitely say that there is some plus minuses when it comes to Rob Pelinka as a GM so far. Starting off with the negative, I think that you hit it on the head that he's not an X and O's guy. I don't think that he really has the acumen when it comes to being able to put together the roster just based off of his prowess of basketball knowledge. However, as a deal closer and what he's able to do with the resources available to him, I think he does get an A in that category, at the very least a B plus. You know, he's had several moments now where he has not had a lot to work with when it comes to being able to have AD and LeBron on the salary cap, along with, you know, Luol Deng's extended stretch waiver that he's paying off. He has had a lot to work with, and he's done a great job at being able to put more salary on the books and get these guys in. It really comes down to the fact that Lakers as an organization has not been as collaborative to be able to make sure that it's a winning system. 2020, of course, yes, it is the exception, but I'm looking at even what he did in 2020, 2021. I believe that a lot of us would look at that as if when we were going into the season, he got the team younger. In a lot of ways, he got it more talented. It was unfortunate what happened with the injuries, and that it was a little too late for them to be able to come together with chemistry. This year is really the failure. This is the first year where we've seen a real failure, and I put a lot of that on Vogel, and I put it a lot on the Lakers organization of not being collaborative enough. There were some really boneheaded moves with bringing in. I know Pelinka wanted to make that signing because he always promised LeBron that they would become a big three. So I think that had a lot to do with it, that LeBron and AD gave the green light on bringing in Russell Westbrook. That was going to be their big three so he could make good on the promise. But it just left no salary cap left to be able to bring in, the anchor guys that they really needed when it came to a supporting cast of small forwards, solid power forwards that could play good defense, that can run small ball. They were stretched a little too thin on that salary cap to make that happen off that minimum. So it didn't help also that Jeannie Buss didn't let Caruso come back on the, I think it was going to be $9 million a year. So from a collaborative effort, I think there was failures to dish out to just about everybody in the front office and the coaching staff when it came to this year. Thanks.
Well, look, I agree with like what you said.
Thank you, Jeremy. You're awesome. Every time we appreciate you on
Right.
Clubhouse. The Los Angeles Lakers fan club guys on Clubhouse. If you want to participate in the show, thanks, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I agree with like what you said, but why do we need a big three? I mean, and I mean that
We didn't. In 2020.
seriously. Like if we have a team that is able to be in their spots, right? Like, we have AD in the middle and LeBron outside, and we put really good above average role players. That should be a good enough team. Like, why do we have to have a certain type of construction of a big three in order to, get to where we are now? Like, to me, I don't understand why that just was necessary. And that's what really is concerning me, like on who really is running the ship. Because the GM, well, we're blaming the GM because the GM is making the moves, but it's really like LeBron. Like, LeBron, why are you even asking for these types of things?
What if we're all wrong and it's actually the Rambis? What if it's actually the Rambuses being a little bit more assertive and pushing their way and having that input to Jeannie, and then Jeannie then passing that down or giving them the authority to pass that down to Pelinka to execute these moves.
Yeah,
and we're missing the boat.
Well, I mean, then if
there's a chance, I mean, we don't know the actual
100%. Like, but look, I think if I hire somebody for my company to do a job, I want them to do that job.
Thank you.
Right?
Agreed.
Jerry Buss didn't know. He just knew he wanted the Lakers. When he bought the Lakers, you guys saw in the first two, he bought the Lakers. He just knew he wanted to win. And he said, look, I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know all the players like you know. You tell me the players that we need to get, and then I'll give you the money to go get them. You know what I mean? Can they just play their roles? Like, just... if the Rambuses, or rabbis, whatever we call them today, if they want to make decisions like that, then Kurt Rambis should be a GM, right? I mean, I'm just saying, like,
no, but that's scary. Like, that's a scary prospect.
You're right,
and the fact that he has that much influence with Jeannie, and if he can parlay himself into that position. And then it just feels like, honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, if Rambis gets the GM job, and I don't know if that's even a possibility, but say it does happen, then we're a mom and pop organization. Like, it's literally
keep it in the family.
It's keep it in the family. We're not trying to get the hottest and brightest minds. Like, I've always thought, like, what I would see in the NFL, teams were go ahead and it would be this hot GM, and teams are like, you know what? I can't get that GM. But every team has an assistant GM. Pluck the assistant GM. I like what they're doing. Let me go ahead and do that, and let's go get the assistant GM, put him in the on the team, and let them work. I mean, I also thought like when it was like the Spurs, when the Spurs were just plucking these guys in the second round, and we were struggling to get these guys in the second round. You look here at RC Roofer, you like, I want that guy or somebody that works under him so I can take that knowledge and put it on the Lakers. We're not ever going to go forward if we're going to always listening to the Ramesses, the Clutch Sports of the world. We need somebody like, I'm not going to say Jerry West because Jerry West is just that guy. But Kupchak up until the Mozgov and Dang held his own and did keep us replenished with talent to try to get us to the next level. We need somebody else that actually knows what the hell they're doing. And I'm saying that Pelinka can't learn on the job, but let's be real. He got the job because he was Kobe's guy. So again, that's keeping it in the family. So it's not like he was coming in there and his acumen was like off the charts and we got, Pelinka. So yeah, let's see what's going on. Let's see how it happens. And the tidbit, the guy was talking about Caruso. I really do believe, and I've seen this somewhere online, and I really agree with this take, that Vogel plays Avery Bradley so much that if he was in the bubble, we would not know about Caruso.
We may not have even won.
We might not even won, dog, because he's such tied to Avery Bradley that in spite of everything that Caruso would have done, he would have gave AB the minutes, and that would have been to our. Because obviously, we could take all of the minutes that Avery Bradley has now and give all of those minutes to Caruso, and I bet you we got 10 more wins on the season.
I would have to agree, and he probably doesn't have a broken wrist either.
No,
right?
And of course Caruso, and there's something to be said for the fan favorites that energize the teams and the fans.
Who's a fan favorite now?
Yeah,
we don't even have one. That's the thing.
No, that's the
like, dude, where's put McClung?
To be honest with you, it's really effing scary to me.
Reeves.
What's really scary to me is when Laker fans are talking about we really miss Jared Dudley. Are you kidding me? That was the key. When they're talking about that's the chemistry guy. Look, I don't have nothing against Jared Dudley. Don't get me wrong, but that's the guy that really now I'd like to propose a thought. Okay, we're pretty much at the point Vogel's got to go, right? Vogel's got to go.
It's too late now. That's the first step. The first step is to get rid of Vogel. Okay, right? Because now we say, okay, Westbrook. It was a coach, huh?
First step, second step is to trade Westbrook.
Well, yeah, but we're not going to trade Westbrook.
Well, and Jeremy was talking about how Pelinka, cleared up space for us that first year and got us some players. Well, he kind of sealed the deal on that with the Westbrook trade because now we're locked in. That's just once again one good trade does not deserve another. What have you done for me lately?
That's it, man.
And speaking of Westbrook, hey, let's give a shout out to
Let's give a shout out to Westbrook.
You know what I mean? Westbrook, because if you call, we say Westbrook, he coming out for your head.
Hey, so man, as he should, man.
We're going to say Westbrook. He actually stole the ball, made sure he dribbled down court, made sure his foot was behind the line, and he made a three-pointer. That took us into overtime. And what was so wonderful about this one game was Drake couldn't believe it happened.
Yep.
The picture, right?
Yeah, Drake couldn't believe it happened. Like, oh my God. And now it seems like for at least a day or two, all was fine.
For Westbrook, he felt great. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's like freaking hilarious. Like, but hey, he made a good play. Congratulations to Westbrook. We won that. And then the next day,
back to normal.
Back
to normal. But that was the fire, but they can only turn it on for minutes at a time. But yeah, you know what? I saw it. I appreciated it. It was a good shot. Westbrook was there. He was cold, ice in the veins. So he made that shot. And like he said, what did he say when he was asked how he knew he can make that shot? He said 23,000 points. He looked, and that's what he said. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
In the press conference,
which is, look, 22,000 points.
That was a couple of years ago, though.
Well,
right? No?
Hey, but 23. literally only 10,000 more, you at the top of the list. Like, I think Shaq got what 25, 26.
Now, briefly before.
So I mean, let's just
before we close out, as we do to our final segment, I would like to ask this question, and hopefully I'm not jumping on your out of bounds already. We briefly mentioned LeBron passing Karl Malone for number 2 on the all-time scoring list, guys. There's only one more person to beat Captain Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, greatest of all time, so we say it. Is this stat, is the all-time scoring list, is that actually a stat of the best, or is that just simply another longevity stat?
Longevity.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, you have to give credit for that too. But for and for you to say, that he's just, padding, stat padding, he's still got to go out there and get those points amongst NBA,
longevity.
The best players in the world. They're not letting him have it.
Longevity.
But it's more longevity. Do you agree?
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, but look, this is what people have to really realize, and if let's look at my guy that was on Minnesota that was getting like double doubles. What was his name before?
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love. Kevin Love was just getting double doubles. He was an all-star. Kevin Love was the best player on the team. He was just getting double doubles. The team sucked, and he was just getting double doubles. Literally, Cleveland's first 3-4 years, the team sucked, and LeBron could do whatever he wanted to do, and everything went through him. So when you're averaging 30, 35 points a game, a lot of that stuff comes through that. He had like a pretty big head start. If you compare it, because I'm not even gonna compare it to Kareem, but if you compare it to Kobe, the first 2 years, Dale Harris didn't want to play Kobe. Right. So, if Kobe was able to do what LeBron was able to do, literally just be able to play, then he would have had way more points. He may have actually caught Karl Malone. I'm not trying to diminish his accomplishment because it definitely is hard. But at this moment, I really feel like it's just an easier type of thing because he just especially like this season. When I went, it's perfect for him. If I go out there and score 30 points a game, then I can't get blamed for nothing. And even though we suck, then I'm not going to they still want to acknowledge me as being, great. Look, man, I mean, do I listen? Am I hating a little bit? And do I want him to catch Kareem? No, I don't. I'll be honest with you. Being honest, but he's gonna do it and he'll be on the top and he'll be a Hall of Famer, but he's not gonna be never gonna be my GOAT. There's some other players that are.
I think at
GOATs.
This point, so when we're talking about GOATs, right? And I think when this kind of like this whole argument started, it was like kind of like in the 80s, the 90s, kind of like they started to anoint, Michael Jordan as the greatest of all time. Now, this is before social media, so we had the narrative that's being pumped in that he is the best player ever.
That they were telling us we never voiced our opinions as fans.
Right, exactly. And mind you, there were so many old cats that were saying like, hold on. What about a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Like there were literally people out there making that argument for Kareem back then when Michael Jordan was actually being touted as the best player of all time. The point I'm trying to make is I think we're getting to the point where we're going to have to accept that this argument is generational. It's not going to be a one-size-fit-all for all eras. It's not going to be that way because there's so many old cats that can tell you about Kareem. And then then us as our age, we're going to tell you about Michael Jordan and then Kobe. And then there's going to be somebody that's right now 32 years old that's going to be saying that LeBron James is the greatest of all time. And that's just going to have to be it is. And they're all right. Because you can't just say one. Because now you're discrediting Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You're literally saying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar shouldn't be anywhere in the conversation. And we know that's foul. That's false. That's stupid. But that's where we're at now. And if we're keeping it, and Iverson said it best, like he hears this conversation with LeBron and Jordan, where Kobe at? Like he hearing all this kind of he's like, where's Kobe at? And you got to take, Iverson's word because Iverson played against Kobe. Iverson is the one that crossed up Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Iverson is that guy that is the one in the 15-1 series. He is that guy. So when he says something, he holds a little weight. As far as I'm concerned, we're talking about ballers. I mean, so I don't know. I just think it's a generational thing. And I think that kind of got to morph into that because Michael Jordan can't be. I mean, well, think about it. Is Michael Jordan going to be the best of all time in 20 years from now? Is he literally going to be Michael Jordan? Because that means that anybody before him that has been there and has this hold on greatest of all time for 50 years?
Does Jordan hold any single records? Scoring, rebounding, defensive, 3-point percentage. Does he have any individual accolade that he holds?
I think he's probably the only stat. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's probably the only player that's been a defensive player of the year and an MVP.
Yeah, in the same year.
Okay.
Right.
I think.
You know what? Giannis got that now, right?
Yeah, Giannis was
okay. Yeah. Got you.
And also, was it MVP, defensive player of the year, and that was it because it wasn't champion.
Right.
Okay,
so look, I honestly feel
you got like 20 seconds. Then
I honestly feel that all this has to do with marketing.
It is.
Yes,
100%. Because look, when people ask me, "Hey, who do I think is a GOAT?" Man, and if I'm just literally going off a resume, hey, I'm hollering at Bill Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Like that dude won 11 in a row, and he had to fight racism.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, you know what I'm saying?
Talk about an asterisk.
Yeah. So, right. Like, this dude literally, and he had a coach. He did, y'all forget that he was coaching the team.
Player coach.
He talking about a leader. That dude was coaching the team and playing
against the Lakers.
Right.
and winning.
Right.
And winning.
The dude won 9 in a row. The dude, dude. Come on, man. Like, that's all I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. And so that's why I think it's easier for us to just say it's a generational thing. Let these kids have LeBron because at the end of the day, we're going to be sounding like the old people talking about get off our lawn.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's sounding like. That's what it is.
I've had so many conversations with people who love LeBron, and it's so funny because they don't want me to bring up certain stuff. But like, how do you not want me to bring up?
There's a fact, though. There's a fact that no matter how much you hate LeBron or dislike his game, he is in the conversation, and you can't deny that. He is, if you're going to talk about who is or who should be in that conversation, you can't put, you can put him in the mix with 5 players who should be in that conversation. There are no other players who should be in that
If LeBron James is not in the consensus top 3, then I think everyone really need to really talk about
it. Look,
who's the next one, guys? Who is the next? KD. Is that player currently there right now?
Okay.
Is that
player he's contemporary?
Is so that player currently playing in the NBA, or are they yet to be found? Who knows? We'll see.
Anthony Edwards,
maybe.
John Morant.
We'll see.
Hey, don't forget about LaMelo.
Okay, LaMelo.
So we got some cash coming up right now. That got
the league's in good hands, but do we have a GOAT contender? Because that's all they'll ever be our contenders.
I think the next one that's going to be in the conversation is going to be Kevin Durant.
But he's
already out.
He's with LeBron. It's kind of like saying who's better between Duncan and Kobe. They play the same generation. They play the same generation.
Yeah, but KD is a couple years behind LeBron, so LeBron's going to be gone.
I don't think KD's there. I think the injury slowed him down. He never dominated, and nobody's afraid of KD. All right. So each week we finish our show with a segment we call Money Mike's Out of Bounds. Money Mike's going to share his thoughts or opinion on a topic, and he just wants to know, is he in bounds or out of bounds? Money Mike?
I really kind of hate to talk about this because I think you guys are going to agree with me with this, but I kind of hate to talk about this because we talk about the Celtics. Right. And what I want to talk about is my guy, KG. I like KG. He got his number retired with the Celtics, which I have no problem with. But you know who I do have a problem with? Paul Pierce.
Yeah.
Right. Because I see when KG is out there and he shots out Ray Allen, and everybody knows of the history of the beef and all that type of stuff. And Ray Allen comes and and gives him a hug because he shot out Ray Allen. Am I out of bounds to say why the hell is Paul Pierce coming out there? Like, I didn't shout you out, Paul Pierce. Like, why are you trying to do a 3-person hug? I said, hey, what up, Ray? Appreciate you. Ray walks out and they go and give a hug. And I feel like that moment was destroyed by Paul Pierce. Because Paul Pierce, why nobody called Paul Pierce out there? Mm-hmm. Why are you walking out there? Why are you excited, dog?
Okay.
I called out Ray Allen. Why are you coming out? You know what I mean? Like, you went away. I feel like this is just like when what was that? Lil Mo came out when they were singing New York. You know what I mean? Like, dude, we talking about look, this is Alicia Keys and Jay-Z. Why is old girl coming out there trying to do the pose? Like, you in the way. You in the way. You in the way, Paul Pierce. Am I out of bounds for saying that there is no reason why Paul Pierce should have came out there and he destroyed the moment between KG and Ray Allen.
Okay.
I'll go first. No, you're not out of bounds. This isn't the first time he's been a attention whore. He was called out, but by who was it? Who called him out and said, you ain't no Kobe?
Oh, that's
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. Okay, so this isn't the first time. He thinks, look, he was a great player, but he isn't that guy. He never was. That's why the team didn't get anywhere until he had that help, which, hey, no one's going to get anywhere until they have help, but still, he thinks it's all about him, and he thinks that he bleeds Celtic green. But I don't think the Celtic family feels that way about him.
I mean, I would first start off and say, I've never seen a franchise that has milked one championship as much as these cats have milked this one championship in 2008. They have milked it.
You know what? The 72 Dolphins.
Yeah. But see, at least the 72 Dolphins are undefeated. And they have that.
They're in that.
That's elite.
They are
category.
In that range, right?
Until somebody beat them or tie them, then okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, like one championship in the past 30 years.
They're feasting on that.
And they're just and they're coming off the buzz. It's all kind of craziness. But I'm going to your out of bounds. I'm gonna say that you're out of bounds, and I'm gonna say this reason why. And the reason why I'm saying you're out of bounds is this. It's because Paul Pierce has to come out there and say that. You know why? Because everyone's going to talk and ask Paul Pierce what's going on between you and Ray Allen. If you don't squash it right then and that opportunity, I didn't ask you. I'm not saying that. What we're talking about, you know how the media works. So we're not going to be oblivious to the fact that we're not going to put the mic in Paul Pierce's face and be like, what do you think about that moment between those two? How do you still have beef? Why you want to keep asking no questions? Go in there, hug them. We ain't never heard about them before. They ain't talking about Paul Pierce and all that. What we are talking about, where Rondo at? Where Rondo at?
Hey.
Rondo ain't said nothing. But see, that's what I'm saying. So we got this unnecessary narratives that are being taken place that can get squashed right now if I go out there and put everything to bed.
No.
You trying to say that he's taking a spotlight? What I'm saying, I get all that. I hate the Celtics too. But if I'm Paul Pierce, hell yeah, I'm going out there and hugging. No. Because I need to get this junk done so we can move on and keep milking this championship. Because that's basically what's going on, what's happening, dude. Seriously.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm going to go Jeremy. You know, you're on there. What do you think, man? Am I out of bounds, man, for Paul Pierce?
Man, anytime I get a chance to hate on Paul Pierce, 2008, I'm going to do it. So inbounds, out of bounds, it don't matter. I'm going to say that Paul Pierce ain't right. I'm not up on this news story, so I'm not going to talk like I know exactly what happened. I obviously know about the whole Kevin Durant, Ray Allen fallout and all that. I guess if they had a kiss and make up moment, that's them. But I 100% agree with the fact that they are milking the hell out of the fact that they only got one measly championship with an unhealthy Lakers team out there. Let me just hate on that.
Right.
Because, we got two. We got two with left.
That's right.
I'm just going to put that. Keep it Lakers 100 on it, but I'll let y'all do your thing.
No. Hey, I appreciate it. Let me just give you one rebuttal, man. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
To what you said.
Yes.
If we play this,
yes, and
then KG calls out Ray Allen, they give each other a hug and embrace, right?
Yes.
KG still got the mic and still in the middle of his acceptance speech. Ray Allen is walking back walk it back to where he was sitting down. If Ray Allen and Paul Pierce walks up to Ray Allen at that moment, that still will satisfy the reporters. If Ray Allen go and hug Paul Pierce at that moment, right? I'm just saying, why is this dude coming out to the spotlight when he wasn't called?
Now that's, I mean, I know we got to wrap this up, so I'll just make this quick. If that's the case, then we're not looking at KG. We're now looking at the sideshow. See what I'm saying? Like, we're not paying attention to the court now because we're all looking at Paul Pierce.
But we know
and
everybody
Ray
get
Allen
along now.
doing this weird head.
We all get along now
on the sideline.
We all get along now. We
know that now. So now we can put that dumb, come on, dude. Like I said, in addition to milking this championship, we're milking this beef. Like, come on, y'all know y'all don't hate him like that, dog. Come on, y'all being real weird right now.
Also,
like,
the number one is, you know what? The only thing to your point that Paul Pierce didn't even have to go out there. If there was anyone who was heated and would have disliked Ray Allen for leaving and going to Miami, because that's what we're talking about. They hated him because he left, went to the enemy, went to Miami Heat. That would have been KG. He was one on fire. So that's why he said, and my boy Ray, because everyone already knows that he's good with Paul. And I don't think anyone really thinks Paul Pierce is bad with Ray. I think the heat was always, it had to be coming from KG. But either way, I think you're in bounds.
Thank you.
I say out.
Out.
Cool.
Jeremy doesn't care.
My guy Jeremy. My guy Jeremy agreed with me.
It's all good. It's all good.
He says I'm in bounds.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us on another episode of the Profanity Nation podcast. We are here weekly, every Sunday night, 8:30 live. We break it to you. We bring it to you live, uncensored, ready to go. If you want to partake in the show, go on to Clubhouse. Join the Los Angeles Lakers fan club room with probably over 12,000 members now. Yeah. I'm not sure. And then we tap into there every Sunday night, and that's how you'll find us take part in the show, just like Jeremy did. Jeremy's a regular, and we really appreciate you, Jeremy. To everybody else out there, thank you so much. This audio will be available on Tuesday. Audio always comes out on Tuesday for Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere where you get your podcasts or any podcast platform. Thank you guys so much for supporting us, and we will be back next Sunday at 8:30 p.m. We are the Profanity Nation podcast. Thank you.
Sir.
Yeah. Out.